in it. I am feeling so much better this week. Yes, I'm feeling so much better. I have recovered from my upper respiratory infection, and I'm feeling so much better. Last week I can probably say I was at a 75 to 80%, but this week I think I'm at a 85 to 95%. I can't say 95, I say 93% because I haven't did a lot of walking, so I don't really know how my endurance is. But I'm feeling much better. I lost maybe about 15 pounds, 10 to 15 pounds. And I'm sure I'm probably going to regain that. But, I'm feeling much better now. But I want us to be able to turn to the book of Jeremiah. And I didn't say anybody was concerned about my health. I'm just throwing it out there to you because I missed 2 days and 2 Sabbaths, and I was telling you about my cough last week, and now I'm just saying to you that I've recovered. I'm not saying that you was concerned, but I'm just putting my health update out there because I did it last week. But turn to the book of Jeremiah, and I know that there was some people that helped me and my wife, and they called and checked upon us. So we do have some friends out there that was concerned and who knew my situation. But yeah, turn to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 1 through 8. Chapter 23, verse 1 through 8 in the book of Jeremiah. I'll be going through the whole text today, but the key verse in the text the key verse today is verse 3. The key verse today is verse 3. And it reads, "And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries, whether I have driven them." Whether I have driven them, and will bring them again to their fold, and they shall be fruitful and increase. Let me read that over. "And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries, whether I have driven them, and will bring them again to their fold," to their place, to their fold, to their fold, which is a pleasant place, to their fold, to their pleasant place, and they shall be fruitful and increase. If I may give a title of the text today, the title of the text today will be, "Yahuwah is our salvation and not man." Yahuwah is our salvation and not man. Yahuwah is our salvation and not man. Okay? The word false. The word false means intentionally untrue. Untrue. Understand the word intentionally untrue. The word false means intentionally untrue, lying, of religion, not of true faith, not in accordance with doctrine. They're going to say Christian doctrine, but I'm just going to say doctrine. False, fake, incorrect, That's what the word fake means. Fake means incorrect, mistaken, treacherous, deceitful. That's what the word false means. Let me do something refer. The word false means, and I'm coming from the etymology dictionary, and it is a 12th century Old English word. So the word false, let me just take it down and put it at the bottom. The word false means, let me repeat it, and this is the key word today. This is the key word today. I'm just going to give one word. The word false means, it's an Old English word. It comes around the 1200 CE, a common era. The word false means intentionally untrue, meaning that they meant to do it. Lying, intentionally, of religion, not of the true faith, not in accordance with doctrine. False, fake, incorrect, mistaken, treacherous, and deceitful. That's what, and it means pretense. It means, that's what it means. And it's a 12th century word. And I want us to understand that the word false probably didn't even exist when the Messiah was on the earth at the time. The word false probably didn't even exist at the time. So, but when we're looking at it, we're just looking at, it means intentionally untrue, lying, of religion, not of the true faith, not in accordance with doctrine. Old French false means fake, incorrect, mistaken, treacherous, or deceitful. That means that a person that's doing something false, they did it intentionally. They didn't do it unintentionally. They did it intentionally to mislead and misguide the people. Okay? But I want us to go to Psalms, also to Psalms. And I want us to keep this verse in the back of our minds as we go through the text. I want us to keep this verse in the back of our minds as we go through the text, because I want us to understand something. Because this is very important. We understand what we just read about false. Means that it's intentionally untrue, lying, of religion, not of the true faith, not in accordance with doctrine. Means fake, incorrect, mistaken, treacherous, or deceitful. Okay, so in Psalms 146, 3 through 5, and it reads, Put not your trust in prince, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. It says, trust not prince, or people in high places, nor the Son of Man, people like me and you, in whom there is no help. Listen to this. His breath goes forth. He returneth to the earth. In that very day his thoughts perish. Means that he forgets. There are no more existence. Happy is he that has the El of Jacob for his help, whose hope is in Yahuwah, his El. Meaning that do not put your trust and faith in man, because he is no help. Because his breath goes forth and his body returns to the dirt. and his thoughts perish. Meaning that man is actually no good. Man is a temporary satisfaction for Yahuwah, or a tool for Yahuwah. It says you should be happy and put your trust in the Most High, that never dies or never goes away, but he's always there for you in a time of need. Because like yesterday, I was talking to this guy, and we're getting ready to go into the text. I was talking to this guy, right? And we was talking, and he was telling me that he called the Creator God. I said, okay, that's cool. I said, but you know God is a title. I said, God is not a name. I said, that God is a title. I said, we do know that, right? He said, yeah. And then he turned around and said, well, God. And then he said, Jesus said, I came in my Father's name. I said, so what God name is Jesus? He said, well, God name now is Jesus, because he said, I came in my Father's name. And I said, where is that in the text? So I had to get him to turn to Exodus 3 and 14. Because we have to understand that the Creator said, my name, and when he talking to Moshe or Moses, he said, Moshe said, who shall I say sent me? And he said, I am that I am sent me. Okay, so when we're looking at the understanding of I am that I am, we cannot put the Most High in a box or to a title. Because when we put the Most High in a box, in a title, we limit him, and we limit his abilities, or we limit the Creator and we limit his abilities. But when we say his name is I am that I am, or Ahaya Asher Yahuwah, that means that we're not limiting him to a certain abilities. We're saying that our Creator can do all things and be what I need at the time of our need. So when we go to Psalms 146, right? And he says, happy is he that has the El of Jacob for his help. Your help is not just limited to your health conditions. Your health is not just limited to your financial conditions. Your help is not just limited to your job situations. Your help is unlimited. So when you have an unlimited Creator, or an unlimited Ruah, a spirit, that means that he has the abilities to do unlimited things for you. But when you put your trust in man, you putting your trust in a limited ability person. That means that you're putting your trust in a person that has limitations. That means that he's a finite creature. That's what you're actually doing. So we have to understand that Yahuwah is our salvation and not man. But let us go ahead and turn to the book of Jeremiah chapter 23. I know I've been rambling for a minute, and I'll be done in a few minutes, but I want us to understand the text. But we all know who Jeremiah is. Jeremiah was considered a weeping prophet, and he was prophesying to the children of Israel about what was going to actually happen to them because of their misdeeds. He was trying to get them to understand if they don't change from their wicked ways, they're going to go into bondage. They're going to go into persecution. They're going to go into afflictions. And they really didn't want to listen to Jeremiah. And we all know the synopsis of of the history of Jeremiah and understanding that, hey, the people went into bondage. They got afflicted. They went through it, but he was so disgruntled. He was so afflicted because he was preaching to or teaching to his people, and they really didn't want to. They didn't really want to listen to him. It's like I put out a post this week. Why Hebrew or black people don't like the truth? And one of my friends said, well, they don't want to deal with their reality. And it reminds me of Jeremiah. And Jeremiah preaching to the people, and they didn't really want to hear it because they didn't want to recognize the truth. They want to continue into their own ways and thinking what they're doing was correct when in actuality it was incorrect. It was going against the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahuwah. But let us go ahead and go to Jeremiah 23:1. And if I may give some points today, I'm gonna give a point. First point is false prophets. What's in this? Tell me what's in this. I'm asking you, please.
Ginger. Garlic. Peppermint.
Ginger, garlic, and peppermint.
Lemons.
Okay, and lemons. And the reason why she put peppermint in my tea is because when you drink peppermint, it opens up your respiratory. It opens up your respiratory, opens up your breathing so that you can be able to breathe better. That's why I asked her that so she could be able to tell y'all what we're drinking, so that you all could probably go get some peppermint tea one day and drink it, because it's good for the body. And it helped me doing my upper respiratory infection. But it says, woe! Jeremiah 23:1, it says, but woe be unto the pastors or shepherds that destroyed and scattered the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahuwah. The word woe means that the Most High was crying out to the pastors. He was crying out to them because of what they did to his people. The word woe means I'm crying out to you. I'm crying out. I'm reaching out to you, pastors or shepherds, to my flock or to my sheep of my pasture. He said, whoa. He said, I'm crying out to you, pastors, that destroyed and scattered the sheep of my pasture, said Yahuwah. The word destroy means wandering away. It means perish, made them not to be able to escape the situation. That's what destroy means, wandering. It means wandering away. It means not escape. It means perish. He said, woe unto you, the pastors that destroyed and broken the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahuwah. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah Elohim of Israel against the pastors that fed my people. This is what they did. He said, ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. It says, behold, I will visit upon you the evils of your doings, says Yahuwah. Now, in these first two verses of Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 1 and 2, the Most High is having a conversation. The Most High is dealing with the leaders, the shepherds, the people over the children of Israel. He's dealing with them because of what they did to the sheep or to the children of Israel. And he's dealing with them because they destroyed them. They made them perish because of their teachings. They made them go away because of their teaching. They made them not be able to escape the situation at hand. Because they didn't necessarily need to escape physically. They needed to escape mentally. Because freedom doesn't start physically. Freedom starts mentally first. So when they wasn't able to teach the people correctly, they kept the people in bondage. They kept them oppressed. They kept them suffering. Because the pastors or the sheep of the flock, they said, ye have scattered my flock. Ye have scattered them means broken them into pieces. You have driven them away. This is what you have did. You've driven them away from me. And you have not visited them. When it says, and you have not visited them, when they were sick, the pastor didn't attend to the people. They were minding their own business, doing their own thing. They were still trying to make their money. Because there's a lot of people that be in these mega churches today that be sick and nobody go visit them. Nobody call on them. Nobody feed them when they're naked. Nobody feed them when they're hungry. And see, somebody put a post out the other day, right, on Facebook, and yes, I be on Facebook. Somebody put something out on post on Facebook the other day. They said, why do the pastor go to the congregation when he needs something, but tell the congregation to go to the Most High when they need something? If the pastor needs something, why don't the pastor go to why don't he go to the Most High for help more so than going to the congregation? But when the congregation goes to the pastor or the shepherd, he tells the people to go to the Most High. Or he would tell them, oh, we're not able to take care of your needs at the time. But he go to the same people who he told he can't take care of them. He go to them for help. That sounds like a hypocrite to me. That sounds like a hypocrite to me. Let me read you something. Let me read you something. Let me read you something. And I'm going to do a little reading today on extra, on the sideboards of articles, okay? I'm going to do a little reading today, and I'm not going to be long. It says, How Stuff Works. This is this website called How Stuff Works. Okay, this article was written February 24th, 2020. Okay? And then the article is titled, Who Decided Which Books to Include in the Bible? We're still talking about false teachers, okay? Because the pastors just didn't not visit the people when they were sick, but he also scattered them and he destroyed them for the lack of knowledge. Okay? So when we're looking at this title, or when looking at this article and How Stuff Works, and it's called Who Decided Which Books to Include in the Bible, the article starts off by, and it says, in his best-selling novel, The Da Vinci Code, Dan Brown wrote that the Bible was assembled during the famous Council of Nicaea in 325 CE, when Emperor Constantine and church authorities purportedly banned problematic books that didn't conform to their secret agenda. Understanding that Constantine, when he put the Bible together, he didn't allow certain books to be in the Bible because it did not go with the agenda that he wanted to have. Just like I read out of the Apocrypha sometimes. Y'all hear me talk about 2nd Ezra, the Maccabees, and things of that nature. Jubilees and Jasher and the book of Enoch. See, they didn't want those type of books in the Bible, even though it's in the Catholic Church Bible. They didn't want it into the King James Version. Okay, but let me go ahead and finish reading. It says, except that not how it really went. The Da Vinci Code was fiction, but Brown wasn't the first to credit the Council of Nicaea with decoding with deciding which books to include in the Bible. Right in the 18th century, repeated a century-old myth that Bibles was colonized by Nicaea by replacing all of the known books on the table, saying a prayer, and seeing that legitimate text fell to the floor. But I'm going to go down and read a little bit more, and I'm going to skim through it. It says, over the times, the books that were deemed authentic and authoritative by the community who used them were included in the canon, and rest was discarded. Although the bulk of that editing work ended in 300 CE. The debate over which books were theologically legit continued until at least the 16th century, when church reform Martin Luther established his German translation of the Bible. Okay, so now, when Martin Luther put the 95 Theses on the Catholic Church door, he said, I'm removing myself from the Catholic Church because I don't believe what the Catholic Church is saying, because I believe that the Catholic Church is teaching false doctrine. Now let me read you a little bit of what Martin Luther had put out here. Now, when Martin Luther wrote the first German translation of the Bible, which he has become to be recognized as a false teacher too, it says Luther had issues or problems with the book of James, which emphasized the role of works alongside faith. So he struck James and Hebrews in the back of the Bible alongside Jude and Revelation. So he organized the Bible the way he wanted to organize the Bible, because he didn't agree emotionally with what the scriptures were saying. So what Martin Luther did, said, okay, I'm going to organize my Bible the way I want to. It sounds like he was a false teacher too. Okay, and it says, which he also thought was questionable. It says, Cone said that in Lutheran original Bible, those 4 books don't even appear in the table of content. So when we're starting to look at how even the church or the people, the Roman Empire, organized the Bible, they organized the Bible for their benefit and not for the masses of people. And they are considered to be false teachers. Even when we look, when Martin Luther separated himself from the church, he organized the German Bible the way he wanted to, so that it would benefit his theology. He was considered to be a false teacher. So now when you look at Baptists, and when you look at the Baptist religion or the Baptist faith don't even allow, or didn't even allow, women to be preachers or teachers in the pulpit for a long period of time. And they are considered to be false teachers because they're misunderstanding the text. Because Paul had prophetess and women that taught alongside of him. So when you're looking at this false teaching and false preaching and these false shepherds, it stemmed long time ago.
Wow.
And it hasn't stopped to this day. And most of the time when you see this organized religion, it is for man's benefit who organized it more so than anybody else. It's not for the congregation of the people. So that's why the Most High is so upset with the shepherds, because of what they did to the people. He said, woe unto you shepherds or pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture. Why? Because they did it for their benefit. How many pastors do you actually know need a Bentley? How many pastors do you actually know need their own private jet? How many pastors do you actually know need 3 church locations when you can't attend to 1 church location? When you may have 500 members in your 1 church location and you do not know the name of all the members in your church. So how can you tend to those flocks, those sheep in that 1 location that has 500 members when you don't even know their name, you don't know their conditions, you don't know their children? So how can you tend to them when you don't know them, but you got 3 locations that has the same amount of people in those locations? So how can you tend to 500 or 1,500 people on one given Sunday that you teach on? Tell me that. You can't. Because your business is to scatter, and because what you did was you destroyed and scattered them. If you don't have a personal relationship with over half of the congregational members that trying to be or have a relationship with you, you're not doing your job as a pastor or as a shepherd. That's just one article that I read about Martin Luther, because I could go on and read it. Okay, and it says, why did some books make the cut and not others? Combs cites 3 critical uses by the early church. The first was the authorship, whether it was believed to have been written by an apostle. Who are them to say what is written by an apostle or not? Who are these church people? Then it says by Paul or by someone else close to them. Okay, and then it says, I want to go to the last one. It says, and the third was orthodox, or how well the text conform with current Christian teachings. When they put this Bible together, they designed a system or a formula on how they wanted to teach the doctrine. They wanted to give them, they wanted to guide the sheep in the way that they wanted to guide the sheep, and not the way it's supposed to be. Because I just told you, the word pastor is a 12th century word. So they put in words that correlates to our time, but the word pastor is not supposed to be in the text. It's supposed to be a shepherd, because we got to understand how they used to speak in those days, because the word pastor would not even be logical at that time, because they didn't have the word pastor. It was considered to be a shepherd, because they were using things or parables that people could understand. So let me read you something real fast. Let me go to a verse for you. Okay, I'm gonna go to let's go to Ezekiel. And we're talking about false pastors. See, false teaching just didn't start with the present time. False teaching started with the Catholic Church. And it just been coming on down the line ever since then. Because nobody's actually going by the true doctrine, because they're doing it for their benefit. Let's go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel 34. Ezekiel 34 and 2. And it reads, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. You see, they use the correct word in this. Shepherds of Israel, prophesy and say unto them, Thus saith Yahuwah unto the shepherds, Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves, and should not the shepherd feed the flock. Meaning that the shepherds was eating off of the people, and more so than the people eating off of the flock. I mean, the shepherd was feeding the flock. Because your current situation and our total current situation of our society and in our culture and our ethnicity is because of our leaders. One of the main reasons why the majority, not individually, but a collective body is in a situation that they're in is because of the leadership that they have that is representing them. If you have great leadership, you will have a great ethnicity and your people will prosper. But if you have bad or piss poor leadership, your people will perish. So the conditions of the people is based on the leadership. It is not based on them because they are following the leader. Not the leader is following the people. So when it says, woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. How they feed themselves? Off of the children of Israel. Should not the shepherd, this is a question. It's a question mark at the end of the sentence. Should not the shepherd feed the flock? The shepherd has become to be a servant, not to be served. But how many times have you seen people say, oh, don't go around the pastor. Oh, the pastor can't do this. Oh, don't touch the pastor. Oh, you got to be able to have this for the pastor. Oh, the pastor got to sit in a special place to be able to have this and to have that. Oh, you can't talk to the pastor right now because this is going on with the pastor. But the pastor supposed to come and serve the people more so than to be served. But how we treat the pastor, we put him on a pedestal. We put him on a pedestal as if he is the Most High. But he ain't never a servant. Let's go to Isaiah 56. But our condition is based on our leadership. I remember I heard one House of Representatives say black, and she was a black or a Hebrew person. She said black people stupid. This House of Representative person called us stupid because of our condition and because of whatever the case may be. But she's supposed to be representing us. Let's go to Isaiah 56. Isaiah 56. Let's go to verse 9 through 12. Isaiah 56, 9 through 12, and it reads, all ye beasts of the field. Listen how he addressing. Listen to what he's saying. All ye beasts of the field come to devour. Yea, all ye beasts in the forest. His watchmen are blind. Listen to this. His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. Yea, the watchmen or the shepherds are greedy dogs which can never have enough. They are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look their own ways, everyone for his gain from his quarter. Come ye, say they, I will fetch wine and I will fill ourselves with strong drink, and tomorrow shall be as this day, and much more abundant. This is how the Most High look at our leadership of the day. This is how the Most High look at our leadership today. He said, yea, they are greedy dogs, which can never have enough. They are shepherds that cannot understand. Because if they understood the text, they would not be telling everybody what they're telling people. Because your people will be free mentally and physically because they will understand the text. They all look at their own way. Every man, everyone for his gain from his quarters. I like this one, verse 2. It says, his watchmen are blind. The beasts of the field watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. When you have great leadership, when you have great organization, most people love the Patriots, the New England Patriots, because they feel that they have a great coach. They feel like they got a great organization. They feel like they got a great system. So when people look at the New England Patriots and how they operate or they function, they like the system. They like the leadership. They like the head of the organization. So that's why they're so successful. Everybody want to go play for the New England Patriots because of their organizational system and because of their leadership. So when you understand that you have great leadership, you understand that you're going to have a success. But when you have teams like Atlanta who have bad coaching, who have bad, I'm not going to say ownership, but when you have bad coaching, you have bad leadership, you're going to have bad performance. That's what you're going to have. I'm not saying that Arthur Blank is a bad owner, because I understand that he trying to do the best that he can. But look at the leadership from Arthur Blank on down. It's horrible. So how can a team be successful when you have bad leadership? You can't. To make it plain for those who love sports. Let's go to James 1. James 1 and 27. Listen. It says pure religion. The word religion came out in the early 13th and 14th century. So we're not going to, but we understand something. It says pure religion and undefiled before God, or El, and the Father is this. They telling you, if you want to have pure faith, this is what you want to have. To visit the fatherless and widow in their afflictions, in their hardships, in their time of need. That's what pure leadership is. That's what pure faith is. That's what they call pure religion is a leader who's going to visit the fatherless and widow in their afflictions and keep himself unspotted from the world. Huh? Unspotted means clean. It means righteous. That's what unspotted means. It means clean. It means righteous. He's going to do what is according to Scripture. That's what a true leader is compared to these false leaders that's misleading the people. That's James 1 and 27. So when we're looking at false teachers compared to great teachers, a great leadership, I showed the example of New England and Atlanta. I showed you the pastors that ride the Bentleys and live in these big fancy houses and got four locations, and they try to teach at 4 locations in one day and don't meet no members, don't hear none of their complaints, don't hear none of their needs, don't visit none when they sick. Compared to one pastor that may have 1 location and understand majority of the people that want to have the relationship. So when we're looking at a false teacher and a real one, it's a big difference. But leadership puts you in a condition as a collective body. Leadership puts you in conditions that you're in. Because they're rubbing elbows with the elite that can make decisions for you. Okay? Let's go back to Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 3. Okay. So we understand that Psalms 146 says, trust not in your, put not your trust in prince or nor in the son of man, on whom there is no help. We understand that. Because they can destroy you, they can scatter you, they can have you driven away, they won't even take care of you. That's why he's saying that, but trust nobody. But now, let's go to verse 3. It says, I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries, whether I have driven them. See, we're in the conditions that we're in because of what the Most High did and because of what our leadership did. We're in the condition that we're in is because of what the Most High did, because of what our leadership did. Our leadership got us in the condition that we're in today. And I was talking to this guy, right? And I'm getting ready to close in a few minutes. I was talking to this guy, and this guy said, oh, spiritual Israel. I said, what? He said, spiritual Israel. Now, we're talking to people that's spiritual Israel. And I said, that doesn't sit well with me. Because it's nowhere in the text where it says the word spiritual Israel. And when he was talking to me about spiritual Israel, I said, what are you talking about? I never heard no such thing as spiritual Israel. And then I started asking him, what you mean by spiritual Israel? And he said, well, the Gentiles who start adapting the ways of the Hebrews, they become spiritual Israel. And I started scratching my head and I started saying, nowhere in the text did that say that. But he got that from his pastor or his moray. And I said, well, when the children of Israel left out of Egypt, they didn't call those who came with them spiritual Israel. They just all came out of Egypt together, but they understood they wasn't Hebrews. They were still Gentiles, but the Hebrews had to treat them as such. But when these teachers, these mores and these pastors starting to teach these people, some of them they'll start implementing Christian terminologies into Hebrew languages. And that didn't sit well with me, and the Most High is dealing with me on it because there's so much false teachings out here. And having people discombobulated, jacked up mentally. Because what the pastor thought process is, or the influences that the pastor has on him, and how the pastor influences the congregation. See, the pastor sometimes may be influenced by higher up because of his audience or his number of people. So, if the pastor is influenced by higher up because he has a large congregation of people, the pastor is going to influence the congregation on the way the higher ups want the pastor to influence. The way they want the pastor to influence the people. So at some point in time, the pastor may not even be in charge of how he teaches the people. Because he's going to use languages and verbiage that the higher up want him to teach. But he said, I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries, whether I have driven them. The Most High did it. Because of our false teachings, false shepherds. And it says, bring them again to their fold, and they shall be fruitful and increase. See, man will not bring us to our fold or to our pleasant place. Man won't do that. Man will not do that. Because man don't have the authority to do that for the children of Israel. Okay? I want y'all to look up something. It is called the Balfour Declaration. B-A-L-F-O-R Declaration. This is how the people of Israel took the land of Palestine and reclaimed it Israel. The land was never considered to be Israel until after they went into the land of Palestine and took some of those people's lands. I'm just going to read you a small little snippet of it, but I want you to look up the 1918, we call it 1918 Balfour Declaration. Okay? It'll tell you how those people in what they call Israel today got the land of Israel. It was a physical take in 1918. It wasn't the Most High coming in, intervening, and moving and shaking. It was man functions in the people getting the land. Okay, and it says the Balfour Declaration was a public statement issued by the British government in 1917 during the First World War, announcing support for the establishment of a nation home for the Jewish people in Palestine. Then the Autumn region with a small minority of population. The small minority Jewish population. I want you to understand that the reason why the land of Israel became the land of Israel is because they went into Palestine and took some of the land and reclaimed it for themselves and then said, this is Israel. But when we look at verse 23, the Most High said, this was, the Balfour Declaration was man's doing. Okay? But in verse 3, it says, I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries. The Most High, this is the Most High doing. The Balfour Declaration was man's doing. But verse 3 is the Most High doing. It says, I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries whether I have driven them. See, these people that went into Israel came from Germany. They didn't come from the four corners of the earth. They didn't come from India. They didn't come from Asia. They didn't come from the islands. They didn't come from the Americas. They only came from Germany. So it says, and then it says, I have driven them. It says, listen, listen. Let me read it again. I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all. Germany is one. All is many. Out of all countries where they have driven them, and will bring them again to their fold or their pleasant place, and they shall be fruitful and increase. The Balfour Declaration and how the land of Israel was established, it was taken from the people of Palestine. Okay? The Most High didn't have nothing to do with that. He had a lot to do with it, but he didn't have nothing. He wasn't blessing those people over in Israel. They went in there and took that land over there in Israel. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 30. 3 through 5. 3 through 5. And it says, that then Yahuwah thy El will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all, down in Haiti, down in Cuba, down in the Caribbean, down in Dominican, down in the Puerto Rico, up in Australia, down in Australia, up in Canada, in the Americas, in Asia, in Europe, all the nations whether I Yahuwah thy El, has scattered thee. And if any of thy be driven out of the uttermost parts of heaven, from thence will Yahuwah thy El gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And Yahuwah thy El will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possess. And thou shalt possess it, and he will do good and multiply thee above thy fathers. Those people over in the land today are not supposed to be, they're over there, but it's by man's authority and not by Yahuwah's. See, they went over there and took that land. It became the nation of Israel in 1947. Okay? Let's go to Amos. Let's go to Amos 9, 14 and 15. This is what we're talking about. My second point, my first point was false teachers. See, the Most High is getting rid of these false teachers now. They're not going to be even relevant anymore, because they don't put us in the conditions that we're in. And that's why Jeremiah was preaching and teaching so much, because he saw the wickedness of these false teachers. So because man failed man, the Most High got to intervene. Yahuwah got to intervene. He got to do the saving. Okay, Amos 14:15. Listen to Yahuwah again. And the reason why I give you verses is because I want you to understand this confirmation on top of confirmation. And it says, I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel. The captivity, meaning the people that was in slavery and bondage. And they shall build the waste city and inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof. So you can drink wine. I don't know if anybody told you you can't, but it's telling you you can. And drink the wine thereof. And they shall also make gardens and eat the fruits of them. And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land which I have given them, saith Yahuwah thy El. Mohai said, I'm going to do this. This is a reassuring teaching today. This is a reality teaching today, but this is also talking about why we're in the conditions that we're in. And we're in the conditions that we're in because of what our teachers and our leaders have done. But that's why he said, don't trust no man. Only Ruah that you can trust is the Most High.
That's right.
Is the Word.
That's right. Study for yourself.
Because man has misled man for so many years. And they continue to do it today. Just like the guy told me, the Most High name is Jesus. And I said, what? He said, yeah, the Most High name is Jesus. I said, his name is Jesus? I said, so it can't be Jesus because the letter J didn't come out into existence until the 1630s. I said, so what was his name prior to that? So I said, if you're going to go to the 1611 King James, I said, so his name is Azus. So he said, even though I know language evolves. But the teachings that we have today have misled us. And I'm not saying mine is true. You let the Ruach lead you to where you need to go. But I'm not going to hell for you. I'm reading scripture. I'm reading articles that was wrote. I'm giving you etymologies of words so that you can understand the word in the text through the understanding of the word. So the Most High got to deliver the people. Let me read your article. Let me go to another article. Listen to this. On Fox News. The Most High got to deliver his people. Let me read your article on Fox News. What day did it come out? It came out 6 days ago. And I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm just going to read you the headline story. It's on Fox News. It came out 6 days ago. And we're talking about the Afghanistanians. The Afghanistan people. Or the Afghani refugees. Listen to this. House passes measures includes, listen to the number. House passes measures include $6.3 billion for Afghan refugees. Resettlement path to green card. The United States gave the Afghanistan refugees $6.3 billion to resettle here in the United States and gave them a pathway for a green card. This article came out 6 days ago. But how much money did they give us for slavery, which lasted 265 years? Still going on to this day. How much money did they give us for slavery? See, man delivered the Afghan refugees, and I'm not mad. I can't be mad. When you look at the Japanese internment camps, each person got $20,000. When you see Germany paying the Jewish people, they getting billions of dollars every year. Even though the United States didn't have nothing to do with it, they still get the Jewish people billions of dollars every year. But what do they give up? What do they give us? Nothing. Not 1 red cent. But the Most High got to deliver his people. The Most High's got to deliver us. And that's something we got to understand, Tate. Okay. Okay. Let's go to Zechariah. Let's go to Zechariah 10. Zechariah 10, 8 through 12. This is what the Most High got to do for his people. Because if any other nation do give up reparation, they take the credit for our success. And it diminishes the Most High in His actions for us. And Zechariah 10:8, it reads, I will hiss for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them, and they shall increase as they have increased. And I will sow them among the people, and they shall remember me in far countries. And they shall live with their children and turn again. See, one of the curses is that we will not be able to have fun with our kids in Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Deuteronomy 28. This is saying that we will have fun with our kids. The Most High is going to allow us to enjoy our offspring. It says, I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt and gather them out of Assyria. And I will bring them to the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and place them not to be found for them. And he shall pass through the sea with afflictions, and smite the waves in the sea, and all the deeps of the river shall dry up. And the praise of Assyria shall be broke down, and the scepter of Egypt shall depart away. And I will strengthen them in Yahuwah, and they shall walk up and down in his name, saith Yahuwah. Last one for this one. Zechariah 8 and 7. It says, thus saith the Yahuwah of hosts, behold, I will save my people. This is a possessive noun. I will save my people from the east country and from the west country. I will bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God in truth and in righteousness. See, the only person that's going to be able to deliver the children of Israel are the African American people, are those that were scattered in Canada, Americas, South America, Jamaica, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and all of South America. And then when you go to Africa and Asia and then Europe, the only person that's going to be able to deliver them and our salvation come from is putting our faith and hope in the Most High. That's the only spirit, a Ruah, they're going to be able to deliver. Not man. Because I just showed you they gave Afghanistan refugees $6.3 billion for 95,000 people. So you divide 95,000 into 6.3 billion and see how much each individual person will come up with. So let's go to verse 5 in Jeremiah. Jeremiah 23, verse 4. All these articles you can look up and read. Jeremiah 23 and 4, it says, now this because of what they did, what these false teachers did, the Most High gonna have to come back in and redo everything that they did. Because they jacked us up. So now he got to unjack us. He says, I will set up shepherds over them which shall feed them. Listen to the actions of the shepherds that the Most High is going to set upon us. He said, I will set up shepherds over them which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed. Dismay means broken down by violence, broken down by confusion, made to be afraid and discouraged. That's what the word dismay means. It means to be broken down by violence, by confusion, and made to be discouraged. Neither shall they be lacking, saith Yahuwah. Behold, the day come, saith Yahuwah, that I will raise up unto David a righteous branch, a people, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute my judgment and justice in the earth. everything that you've seen so far have not been justice and judgment across the board. Nothing that you have seen on this earth has been justice and judgment throughout the earth. Okay, in verse 6, it says, in his days Judah shall be free. The word saved doesn't mean life-changing experience. It means physically free. That the word saved means free. And Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name whereby he shall be called. The name shall be called Yahuwah our Sidkenu, or righteousness. The word righteousness means Sidkenu. Okay? So now the promise from Yahuwah is this. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that they shall no more say, Yahuwah liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. We won't be looking in the past no more. We won't be looking at Egypt. We won't be looking at Atlantic slave trade. We won't be looking at the Arab slave trade or what's going on in Libya today. We won't be looking at that because that's past tense. He said in verse 8, the promise, but Yahuwah liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of house of Israel out of the north country and from all countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Understand, and they shall dwell in their own land. That is a promise. The only person that can get us to dwell in our own land is Yahuwah. Man can't do it. Man won't do it. Because man know who we are. Because we are the food that everybody eat off of. We are their appetizers. We are their full course meal. We are their snacks. We are their desserts. We are how they live. I'm about finished. Let's go to Isaiah. I know I gave y'all a lot today. Let's go to Isaiah 43. Just bear with me 2 more minutes. Isaiah 43, 18 and 19. And it reads, remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth, shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the deserts. That's what he's going to do. Last one. And I know I held you long. Zephaniah 3 and 20. This is the promise. He's going to put us in he don't want us to remember the old thing. He's going to give us some new things to remember. And it says, at that time will I bring you again. Even in that time I will gather you. For I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth. When I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith Yahuwah. That's a promise. The title of the text today is Yahuwah is our salvation and not man. I want you to remember to have Psalms 146, 3 through 5 in your mind when you're understanding this. And I want us to understand, because of our false teachers, Yahuwah scattered us. But Yahuwah the only one, if he scattered us, he's the only one that can deliver us. And he's the only one that can fulfill the promise that he said. He said, my word will not go out and come back void. So when it goes out, it's going to do what it says it's going to do. So when we're looking at salvation, it's in Yahuwah. When we're looking at freedom, when we're looking at salvation or deliverance, it's in Yahuwah. It's not in man. Because you can look back through your history and see that when they came over here and messed with the 9 tribes of Israel that was in the Americas, the lost tribes of Israel that was in America, which were all people of color, they broke 400 treaties that they signed with the indigenous people of this land. So if they broke 400 treaties with the indigenous people of this land, what make you think they're going to do anything for you? Only person that's going to do something for you is Yahuwah. He's your salvation. He's your deliverer. He's the one that can make you whole. He's the one that can complete you. He can be whatever you need for him to be at the time that you need it. That's why he say, I am that I am, or Ahaya, Asher, Yahuwah. So quit depending on man to deliver you. I put in a thing that if I vote for governor, I will vote for Brian Kemp, even though I'm not voting, because I ain't putting my trust in him. But let us pray and let me go, because I kept you too long today, and I know y'all like, man, I'd be glad when he hurry up. So let us get finished today. Father, as we come to you today, we thank you, we bless you, we praise you, we give you all the honor and the glory. Abba, we just thank you for everything that you do, how you do it, the way you do it. Abba, we just ready for your deliverance, we're ready for your salvation. We're ready to be in our new own land, doing the things that you want us to do, how you want us to do it, and the way you want us to do it. Abba, we ask that you forgive our forefathers, forgive us for the sins that we have committed, or the iniquities that we have committed against your laws, statutes, and commandments. We ask that you forgive our forefathers, our children, our friends, and our families. But also just protect us, Abba, guide us. Show us what we need to do, how we need to do it, and the way we need to do it. I will continue to pour your understanding into our hearts, which is our minds, so that we can put it into action. Continue to open up our ears so that we can hear. Open up our eyes so that we can see, and let us speak the way you want us to speak, Abba. We need your help and we need your grace. And all these things we pray. So let it be. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Thank you for listening. And I appreciate your time. That is something you can't get back.
Welcome to the end of time, where real love is hard to find. Losing focus, man, lost in his own mind. All your thoughts is on your 9 to 5. How you gonna live? How you gonna eat? How you all gonna survive? What tomorrow gonna bring is real heavy. You better get prepared, yeah, you better be ready. Life is about to really change for me and you. Wisdom, knowledge, understanding, only thing that's gonna bring us through. Gather together, old nation, that's my desire. Before the Lord rain down with that mighty fire, and burn down all the idols and all the liars, all abomination tossed in the lake of fire. I praise the higher for the power that he possessed, to cleanse the earth and bring it back into its fullness. Faith without works, man, that's a holy mess, and you don't wanna have no parts in none of that. So clean your garments, put your breastplate on. Stand up on this battlefield hard and strong. Put no faith in no man stuck in the zone. Everything